Bukola Areweshola is the head of fixed income at Access Bank, and she's joining us live from FMDQ Exchange Place. So let's get a bit of an insight into Bukola. Very good morning. Thanks for coming through on the show. What's your playbook for the new month of June starting today?
Well, we see June starting off slowly, particularly because we are having quite a number of public holidays. So that's affecting the market in the sense that people are not willing to take any specific positions, but going into next week, we expect that there's going to be quite a bit of bullish sentiment, particularly in the treasury bills market, since we already started off with an OMO auction this morning. So depending on where the stop rate comes out at this today, we expect that that would drive, activities in the treasury bills market going forward. For the bonds markets, we still see a bit of quiet trend, particularly as there's been some sort of investor apathy in that particular market, and we expect this to continue to be the case ahead of the bond auction for the month of June.
So why is this investors' apathy for the Naira bond? And we've read that all over the place. What's going on with this? It has to do with what is the sentiment here when you say when we say investors are getting a little bit cold feet when it comes to either the savings bond or whatever?
I think it has to do with what the expectation is in terms of government direction, or let's say the central bank's direction for as regards to interest rates. So there's been, on one hand, we hear the central bank talking about the need for interest rates to go to single digits so as to make banks, lend to the private sector. However, going by the actions of the CBN at the last OMO auction, where the rate came out at 12.5, which was around about 100 basis points from where the secondary market was trading at that time, it sends a mixed signal, to the markets. Prior to this, the bond auction had actually seen some interest, and there was buying.
I guess we lost Bukola Areweshola, the head of fixed income at Access Bank PLC. We apologize to everyone there. Sorry about that. Of course, Bukola was trying to explain why the very lukewarm sentiment of investors around the fixed income, in particular the Naira bond. But of course, as she said earlier, it's going to be a very quiet a month to start the way to start the new month. Bukola, thanks for having you back. Would you just therefore wrap this up for us? If we try to narrow this down to this week with 2-day public holiday, again, we're down to just about 3 trading days.
Yes, so there's not going to be a lot of activities in the market this week. Majorly, what we expect is the OMO auction today, and then the PMA auction for treasury bills on Thursday, and for the FX markets, an auction on Friday, and that's about it for the market this week.
Okay, if you're having a quiet fixed income, let's share that together. But let's see what else some activities. Thank you so much, Bukola Areweshola, head of fixed income at Access Bank PLC. Let's check back with Temple Ashaju, business correspondent, live at the NSE trading floor, to the developing story around Oando Nigeria PLC. Temple, let's get back to the market. What are we learning at this moment, looking at the trading day so far? Okay, I think Temple, we're trying to get the audio patch very clearly. Temple?
Okay, well, Oando is basically the top loser at the moment in the market. It's down by more than 9%. That's where it is trending. It is literally expected in the market that at this point investors will react very negatively to the performance and, of course, to the news, that has been hovering around it right now. So that's the top loser in the market, basically. And, of course, we're seeing a little bit of some kind of portfolio rebalancing as well. UBA and Access Bank seem to be up right now by more than 4% each. And, of course, these two are in the banking sector. They are the key names right now contributing to the performance of that sector in the market, which makes it looking green right now. But if you look at the overall sentiment in the market, it looks a little bit mild. The key benchmark indices is up some 0.04%. Tells you that some investors are watching the numbers really closely and very cautiously at this point in time, Bosun.
Okay. Okay. So for the rest of the market, what are we looking at? What is it looking like today? If yes, there's no way Owando shares will fall more than the required 10% for a day. It's either up or down 10%. So this knee-jerk reaction is expected. But again, what's the rest of the market looking like right now? This is still very early hours of today's session.
It's not so clear right now. Investors are still waiting, watching to see what will happen to Owando. Given the back-to-back negative stories that we have been hearing about companies, in the market lately, a lot of investors are really cautious, not to get their fingers burned. So it's a whole lot of traders in the market told me earlier that they are just doing valuations to see, what's the best pick right now, which is hard to say. It's looking bleak, not so clear, for them to make their choice right now. So it's Monday again. Tomorrow you're going to have a public holiday commencing for the next 48 hours, as you hinted earlier. So that's something that will kind of really not help investors and traders here to determine what the direction of the market will look at right now. So we have to wait to see when we'll come back, from the public holiday before all of these things will start taking shape in the market, Bosun.
Okay, perhaps by the time we're done with Tuesday and Wednesday public holiday, perhaps some of the dust would have settled, of course. But again, everyone expects this a knee-jerk reaction. What we have on the street right now is the position of the SEC. We expect Owando to make some clarifications for that, where the company will go with those announcements made over the weekend by the SEC. But what we know this morning was that an interim management team led by Mutesi Sumano has been sent into Owando Nigeria PLC. There is no clarity as to whether those directives that were given by the SEC to the company had been taken up or are being executed as we speak, which of course include that the SEC is asking for the departure of some directors of Owando Nigeria PLC, including the group CEO. We don't have clarification on that as we speak right now. It's still early morning on Monday, and we have no clarity even on that right now, whether what the SEC ordered to be done is being carried out. But the SEC says there's an interim management that will go in there.
Correct. So we will be waiting to see how that pans out eventually, Bosun. We haven't heard anything. I mean, the comments we're hearing in exchange here on the floor of the NSE is that Mr. Wale Tinubu, the GCEO of Owando, will fight this tooth and nail. So a lot of investors are just keeping fingers crossed. Let's see what happens eventually. Will the regulators, have their day, in Owando with the interim management that has been set up or not? Will Wale Tinubu of Owando be the one to still continue to direct the affairs of that particular company? That's what we're all waiting to see how it will happen, out there in real terms. Until then, we will now see the kind of turnaround that will now reflect on the stock or share price of Owando here in the market.
Yeah, so it's a developing story, everyone. So I will bring you what we know, we clarify, then we'll let everyone have it as we move on. Thank you so much, Temple Ashaju. Let's wrap up the show at this point. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.